allowing your people to do their jobs and being supportive of them and not trying to do everyone's job for them. Let go, delegate, let people do their jobs, and give them the freedom to learn and grow, make mistakes, and be all they can be. You do all those things. You delegate, you care about your people, and you make sure that they have work to do and they can do them. You're going to be a terrific lead.
Right, right. So I saw when I become lead, one mistake I did was I was still too attached with the code I was writing. And
Yes.
I always default back to writing myself that code, then trying to figure it out, who else can do this work. So that was one transition problem I had personally when I moved from dev to dev lead. And then I realized later on that it's better for me not to try to code than to make sure that everything else is happening properly in the team. So that was one learning I had of my own. So the second part of the question is, Eric, what changes when you become from dev lead to dev manager? Now you become from M1 to M2.
Yeah, that's a big shift. And it can just kind of sneak up on you as a dev lead, because all of a sudden maybe you're covering for your group manager because she's on vacation or something like that. Maybe your group manager moves on to a different role, and all of a sudden you need to look over its position. It varies, right? The key things there are, as a dev manager, you're really, or a group manager, whatever it is in your organization, you're now responsible for the business. You're not just responsible for your individual team, your feature team. You're now responsible for multiple feature teams, and that pretty much forms a business. Right. And as an owner of a business, you need to set the vision for that business. Where do you want to be? What is the world going to look like when you're successful? You need to set the goals that you have for the next time period and prioritize those goals. Right. And you also need to set limits for that team. What is it that the members of your team, if they follow these rules, if they work within these limits, they're not going to get themselves in trouble. They're going to be able to work well. They can work freely. They can be free to innovate and take risks as long as they work within those limits, those guidelines. Right. You need to set that for your team. That's a big shift. You do that a little bit as a lead, but not as much. That's not as much emphasis as a group manager. You also need to be able to unblock your people. Another thing that you do as a lead, but now you're unblocking them at a very different scale. Political issues, budget issues, working with the higher ups, VPs and directors and all those people. You need to be able to operate at that level and unblock your team. Right. And of course, you need to grow your people. You need to manage up. And then for the rest of it, you really need to let your team do their jobs, which is something you were talking about earlier. Right. About, as a group manager, as a lead, you could still be in the code. But as a group manager, you're not in the code anymore. You might be doing code reviews, that sort of thing, but you're not doing a lot of coding. You just don't have the time anymore with all the different other responsibilities. So you really need to let your team do their jobs. And